Infinite Warfare, man. The finale episode did go up a little bit ago if you missed it. I figured I'd wrap up the short playthrough series with my impressions of the game, a short little review, and campaign only. I won't talk about the multiplayer. Obviously I didn't play it at all, so that wouldn't be very fair. All I can say about the multiplayer is that it didn't look interesting to me. The core gameplay of all the abilities and mechanics and the crazy equipment and the weapon variants all over again, it just didn't seem fun, and from watching a bit more about it from an outside perspective, that opinion hasn't changed. Like at one point they released a whole new wave of variants that basically made the old ones obsolete because they were the same, but they just give you more XP or something, and then months later they were still adding basic features like leaderboards and custom emblems and after-action reports, which to the fans of the game, they were like, yay, alright, rejoice. To me, I'm like, I don't know, have higher expectations, that seems kind of weird. But alright, this campaign, like there were some fun parts, it wasn't a bad game, definitely a lot of cool mechanics in there, some cool action and cutscenes, and the gameplay was pretty standard from what you'd expect from a Call of Duty title. I loved recording it and making the series, that was really fun, but I didn't love the game as much. Rather, it didn't jump out at me as an excellent story. There were many things that bothered me throughout the whole thing, many parts were very predictable, and other parts just didn't make a whole lot of sense. I don't know how much blame to place on myself for not getting into it as much, and how much should be placed on the game, I'll say that right away, because I know the people who are watching this, who actually maybe watched through the entire series, might be fans of the game and wanted to see what I thought about it. Well, sorry if it sounds like I'm taking a dump on something you liked, not that I hated it, I have pretty neutral feelings towards this game, but like some of the weird stuff, and I can look past any of the inconsistent science stuff, like I had some fun pointing out the wind and stormy atmosphere and Earth-like gravity on Europa being weird, and a bunch of other weird little things like that, but I won't focus on that. It's a video game in the future. You could make up a sci-fi explanation for everything. More importantly, I had trouble ever immersing myself in the universe and understanding the reasoning for any of this conflict. Like, I know humans don't always need a great logical reason to fight each other, but you should have a good reason to tell a good story. We were thrust into this world, given a tiny bit of exposition about how the SDF, this Mars colony group of people, became super militarized and wanted to kill everything Earthborn just because. Were they fighting for their independence? Well, I don't know, maybe not, but that wasn't made very clear. Were they threatened? Did they need more resources? Were the Earth people treating them unfairly, taxing them or something? Who knows? We didn't spend any time trying to understand their point of view. And I like to understand the enemy. I like having intelligent villains in games and movies, but apparently it was just a straight up like scapegoat world domination thing, or more like solar system domination thing, I guess, which is harder to get behind because it seemed so basic. Everything in the game painted the SDF as cliché bad guys. They were the evil team, they have all the bad totalitarian ideologies. Like every time I died, a message would pop up and say something about how the SDF run mandatory work camps or something like that. Something that made them look evil, basically trying to tell me who knows why anybody fights for them or sympathizes with them. They clearly have no logical reasoning for doing what they're doing. They're just all evil and bad. Kill them all. Which feels like some Earthborn propaganda to me. So yeah, the enemies in the game weren't very well explored unless I'm a moron and missed everything, but the entire campaign seemed linear and basic. When I hacked into that robot and we took out the Admiral Crotch guy, I was kind of in shock that that just happened. Like, I thought taking him out would be a big moment, like the end of Modern Warfare 2, throwing that knife and ending it all. No, we took him out very easily. Comically, even, in what felt like the middle of the mission. I had no idea we were at the bridge already, of the Olympus Mons, the biggest, baddest ship of the SDF that was hyped up the entire game. We took that elevator to get to the floor of the bridge, but I guess we just went straight to the bridge. That whole time, I was wondering when it would go wrong. Surely it would be revealed that we actually took out a guy pretending to be Admiral Crotch. It was some kind of sci-fi imposter thing, and the real one would pop up from behind and kill off my entire squad that I'd grown attached to, and make me watch as he destroyed everything I loved. But no, he was just a goddamn moron who was easily bested by a bot we hacked. Good job surrounding yourself by an easily hackable security detail, dude. He left hacking modules outside the door for us to use. We didn't even need to bring our own. So obviously they know about the hacking module technology. It was no surprise that we could hack them. Doesn't that seem dumb to everyone else, leaving a stack of hacking modules outside the door to the bridge? Like, at least make one of my squad mates hand me a hacking module if I didn't bring my own. Don't just leave crates of them outside the door. Another thing that might have been part of the lack of suspense building, like when we were approaching the bridge and I didn't even know, I thought it was just another door. That's partly the storytelling. It might also partly be the OST. I thought about that a bit because I think the Modern Warfare 2 soundtrack is a huge part of how fondly I remember it. That was an excellent soundtrack, very emotional when it needed to be, very epic when it needed to be, composed by Hans Zimmer, I believe, big name, you can look up all the things he's done. I go back and listen to the Modern Warfare 2 soundtrack all the time. The Infinite Warfare OST was alright, but fairly repetitive, and it didn't really stand out to me. To delve back into that mission I was just talking about, of course the events leading up to that moment of taking out Admiral Koch were just... really, that whole mission was a mess. That really marks the point where it went downhill for me. Because to throw a bit of positivity in the middle here, I enjoyed that Dark Quarry mission on the asteroid. That was a fun change of pace. It wasn't too long of a mission. It was good all around. But that mission right after it, what a ham-fisted concept. We came up with that weird plan. I apologize, I'm going to repeat some of the things I said in the playthrough, but I thought I was in the wrong back then, just making jokes because I didn't understand it. But now, even after some time to think about it, I still think the same things. There was that weird plan where somehow the SDF would know to invade when that guy's beacon was destroyed, even though we obviously captured him and dealt with the initial attack on the Aegis guns. But apparently if we destroy the beacon, they'll assume he was able to break free and disable the guns a second time. But forget about that. I went along with that plan, whatever. Then, first of all, why did we have to move the prisoner anywhere? Just destroy the transponder right away. Our guns are working. Boom. Easy win. But no, we had to move him somewhere. Okay, then apparently all we could muster to transport the prisoner that could turn the tide of the war was a 3-Humvee convoy. Like what? If you thought there was any danger of running into SDF guys on the ground, wait for us to get there in our little passenger ship. We'll transport him in the ship. The fact that that all happened, he got away, and then we were the only ones chasing him all of a sudden because Ethan had to secure the position. Yeah, that's important. Secure the position that was already secure. And S0ur, don't you dare get back in the ship and help me from the air. No, just sit in the corner with Ethan so we can advance the plot here. God damn, getting the anger sweat over the plot of this game. I'm not actually angry at the plot of the game. But most of all, the fact that you could shoot Raya a ton in several sections of that mission and nothing happened, that just showed the sloppy design. I bet I could make it look even more ridiculous on recruit mode, just follow him around, lighting him up. And then when we open the door at the end and get punched like an idiot, what happened to the option to kick the door? That's what I would have done, kick and stand back and shoot that asshole. But no, we get bested in a fist fight to advance the plot. And there's nobody around to help until right after we fail. As soon as that happens, there's S0ur and delivering an autopilot jackal for us to use. That whole mission was a fever dream of watching idiots fail, like watching a crappy horror movie where the plot relies on people being morons. And that Rain's death cutscene thing was laughably dumb to me, for the death of our admiral who didn't think to get to a bunker or something before this plan, where supposedly, even if the plan went correctly, the Olympus Mons and all the other invading SDF ships would be shot down by the Aegis guns and crash land everywhere. They evacuated the city, but apparently Rains thought that glass command tower was the best place to be. And like I said at the time in the playthrough, he sounded like a disappointed parent. He's just standing in that tower and says, "Reyes, what the hell happened out there? Oh, did you knock over the vase again?" No, idiot, he doomed the Earth! And you can't muster enough emotion to sound concerned about losing everything you know and love. Well, I focused on that mission enough, and I will say, even though that was one of the weirdest, sloppiest missions, I think it was the best part of the series. That mission was easy to mock, so I thought it made for a very fun episode. But looking back on the whole game with a more cynical attitude, the plot and character development feels more and more heavy-handed. Like, remember the stuff I've been commenting on for the entire playthrough? Clearly, when they were planning this game, they were like, "Alright guys, we need to make a COD game. Everyone throw out some themes to work with. Oh, how about understanding sacrifice? Ah, good, let's run with that, and make it painfully clear that's what our entire game is revolving around." Like, I can respect a game that highlights military sacrifice, that's a very real thing, but the way they went about it felt way too obvious. Every character practically tells you what they're about, and brings it back to the theme. Hello, I am Admiral Koch. My name sounds like crotch, and I think emotion and attachment is a weakness. I sacrifice my men for the mission so easily. Look at me, I'm gonna shoot this guy right here. You are gonna be debating that one issue this entire game because that is clearly our theme. Oh yeah, and I want to kill all you Earth people for some reason. Hello, I am Reyes, and I don't like sacrifice to achieve the objective. Am I fit to be a captain because of that? Hello, I am Omar. You are wrong, Reyes. The mission comes first at all costs. You need to learn that to be a captain. I am Engineering Lady. I used to be a captain, but I couldn't make the tough decisions either. Get your shit together, Reyes. Yeah, I never got attached to the characters at all. The most attached I ever felt was listening to their recorded epitaph messages at the end of the game. That went a long way to humanize them. I'm willing to partially blame myself for not connecting more to the characters. I think recording it to make a playthrough makes me lean towards making jokes about what's going on and trying to poke holes in it, rather than becoming emotionally invested. I'm sure some people got more invested than I did. I guess my main gripe is how clear the theme was, and how that made the game predictable. The ending really did not shock me. I could see the writing on the wall. I threw out some pretty goddamn accurate predictions at the beginning of that final mission. One by one, the people we had gotten to know were sacrificing themselves for the mission under our command. I even really did expect S0ur to be the one to live. S0ur and Reyes felt like the two true main characters, a female and male protagonist, and then Ethan and Omar and so on. But she seemed like the most protected character if they were choosing one person to live. Back to the heavy-handed theme thing though, in storytelling there's a concept of show, don't tell. If you want to establish that a character thinks a certain way because their family was murdered and they have a dark past, you can show that over time by how they behave and what decisions they make. You don't have somebody say, oh yeah, that's Jim, his family was murdered so he's a little weird. That was a very dumb example, but basically when I met every character, they introduced themselves with their personal position on sacrifice. Just look at every character, it's true. As soon as you're introduced to someone, whether it be Rains, Reyes, Crotch, Omar, Engineering Lady, I keep saying that, I think it's McCallum, but yeah, I felt like I was being told, not shown, this entire game. All the characters were very obvious in what they were supposed to be or represent, and the entire plot felt kinda straightforward, exploring the theme of sacrifice. There was the climax of getting Crotch, standard bad guy, and the following action mission right after that. I wasn't surprised by some main characters dying. I'm sorry if that was supposed to be the main twist. All very formulaic, there was nothing deep, nothing to think about, no right or wrong conflict. We were clearly right, they were clearly wrong. Very cliche evil team, just time to fight it out. I was expecting there to be like a split ending where we'd have to choose to save S0ur and Ethan, or to destroy a huge SDF target like that shipyard and turn the tide of the war or something. It felt like that would be a cool thing for what everything was building up to, because then we could see what people choose. The entire game we were being presented with evidence and opinions from people on both sides of this does the mission come first debate. But that wasn't really leading up to any decision on our part, no split ending. It was just leading up to Reyes completely changing his mind and doing what had to be done. Fair enough, I guess. But even then, I don't feel like we won the war. I don't feel like it ended. We just destroyed one target and crippled their space mobility, I guess. But look at all those hexes on Mars of that super militarized SDF population. I'm willing to bet if they didn't hate Earth people before, they do now. Whatever, again, I didn't hate the game, but it might have to be my least favorite COD campaign. Like, Black Ops 3 was a mindfuck, but it was definitely very cool to think about once you understood everything that was happening. Advanced Warfare was pretty good, I thought. There were some twists and turns, and Kevin Spacey's motivation made sense. That was a good villain character. To be fair, Ghosts was meh, I barely remember what happened. But the other games in the Black Ops series were good, and the Modern Warfare series was excellent. There was just nothing special about this game to me. It will not go down with the greats, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But maybe you have a completely different opinion. Maybe I went into this game with the wrong attitude. Maybe I missed a bunch of details that make a lot of my points invalid. You can let me know what you think. I've definitely gone on long enough with this crappy review. I do thank you for checking out the series. It was very fun to do the series, despite my not-so-hot review of the game. It's too bad the veteran mode was so easy, especially when they had other hard modes locked away, like the no-regen one and the other ones. Developers, please unlock the hardest mode from the beginning. You don't need to spoon-feed me your story thinking I'll enjoy it more that way. I know how I want to play it. I don't need to prove to you that I can play Call of Duty to be able to choose my preferred difficulty. I'm sorry, but I don't want to play your game twice. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.